Happy Saturday, guys. Allincrypto here, and welcome back for what is going to be another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. If you are new around here and finding yourself on my videos for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button because we drop an update just like this one around 1 p.m. UK time every single day to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space, but also the broader markets. That's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be doing a longer walk and talk video where we talk about the coming liquidity that is signaled to us by the bond market, most notably the treasuries in the United States. And we're going to be looking at the kind of liquidity index or the liquidity cycles and how all that aligns, and kind of bringing forward our view that the Fed is about to step in and start supporting the markets. And that's why we're seeing a bullish narrative really across all risk and bullish technical patterns in the stock market. You know, we've got that higher target for Amazon, obviously crypto, gold, and we're seeing downside for the likes of yields and the Dixie, which kind of all aligns with the Fed potentially stepping back into the markets and pumping liquidity. But we're going to save that for tomorrow. This is going to be predominantly crypto based. We're going to be starting the video off with the CEO of Vanguard, who are probably the only big institution in the United States that has actually come out strongly against offering a Bitcoin spot ETF. And in this clip, we're going to be seeing why it is he actually doesn't want to facilitate, or Vanguard, more broadly, he's a representation of them, or a representative, more broadly, don't want to actually allow Bitcoin. And I'm going to be showing you that this is totally hypocritical because Vanguard is the largest holder, I think second largest holder actually, of MicroStrategy. Now, what does MicroStrategy do? Well, they buy Bitcoin. We are going to be also talking about MicroStrategy, which has seen some pretty record volume, and we'll be diving over to the chart. Remember, our price target that we had given in 2023 has now been hit in this year, and it's going significantly higher. Why are we seeing so much volume at this point? Well, just like the same reason that we're seeing new all-time highs for Bitcoin pre-halvening, because insiders know what's coming and they are loading up ready for the course that Bitcoin is on. Remember, we've got that 150K target for Bitcoin. There's big scope for it to actually go above and beyond. But we will be talking about MicroStrategy a little bit, looking at the chart, also looking at Marathon Digital Holdings, which is a miner. Talking about Bitcoin, of course, I'm going to be showing you guys why actually consolidating around all-time highs is perfectly healthy. This is very common. When you take a key level of significance, you typically consolidate for a period or come back and sort of retest it before you then find legs and sort of springboard off it. And then to wrap the video up, once we've gone through all that, we will be talking about Grayscale, who have filed for an Ethereum ETF along with BlackRock. And they actually amended yesterday their ETF filing, their trust conversion filing. And we're going to be taking a look at that because you are going to get an ETH ETF. We think that's very much signaled in regards to ETH BTC, which is setting up for upside. And of course, ETH dominance will both have bullish patterns in them. But to start the video off, as promised, let's dive over to a clip of Vanguard CEO talking about offering crypto investments and why they're not offering a Bitcoin spot ETF. And I'm going to be showing you that this is totally hypocritical and actually nonsensical.
Spot Bitcoin ETFs. Question came in, hey, we know you're not offering one. Have you changed your mind? What would it take for you to change your mind? We don't plan to, and we don't, we're not going to change our minds around this. Unless the asset class changes. Yep. Why? First of all, we don't believe it belongs. Like a Bitcoin ETF belongs in a long-term portfolio. If someone's saving for their retirement, it's a speculative asset.
That's exactly it.
And the funds that we offer invest in asset classes that actually have underlying cash flow. So, like we mentioned stocks, you're buying the forward earnings of a company.
That's right.
And that bond, right,
has coupon and principal payments.
Yeah, you're going to pay me back and you're going to pay me something for lending you the money.
Exactly.
Right, so they both can be valued. And that's, for us, we understand why they would rise up in a portfolio and the role they will play, and we can model them. Something like Bitcoin is just too volatile, and it's not a store of value. It hasn't been. And it's very volatile. When stocks got hammered in recent crises, Bitcoin went right with them. And so it is speculative, really tough to think about how it belongs in a long-term portfolio.
Well, let's just start with his comment on why would we buy Bitcoin when it doesn't give us any kind of a return. Well, why buy MicroStrategy? What is MicroStrategy? It's essentially a Bitcoin vessel. MicroStrategy, and I've been one of the biggest hypocrites of Saylor, even though I've said I think he's going to be right. And I think MicroStrategy is going to do well because of its bet on Bitcoin. He was you've got to give the man respect. Very bold move. You know, this was the price targets and roadmap that we had for MicroStrategy. Look at all this volume. Who's that volume coming from? Let me tell you, it isn't retail. And why now? Why at all-time highs? Surely smart money don't rush in after a big rally, right? In some cases, they don't. In some cases, they do. And you can see the volume here. This is not your barber buying MicroStrategy. And I keep picking on barbers. I don't know why. It's, you know, your mate buying MicroStrategy. This is institutions buying MicroStrategy. But MicroStrategy, in my opinion, was a completely dead company until Bitcoin came along. This is MicroStrategy in the dot-com boom. Didn't do anything. Whereas you have Amazon and all that did insanely. This is Bitcoin coming along. And Michael Saylor betting on it. So very smart guy. He's kind of reinvented his company. But Vanguard are the largest holder of, or the second largest holder of MicroStrategy. But you don't want to bet on Bitcoin because it does nothing. Well, what does MicroStrategy do? Well, they own Bitcoin. Interesting. Also, his comment I thought was hilarious about Bitcoin not being a store of value. This is Bitcoin against the dollar. Now, we know what we're looking at recently, but just to take the draws off and to go a little bit more zoomed out. Bitcoin against the dollar. Is the dollar a store of value against Bitcoin? This is Bitcoin against the SPY. This is Bitcoin against the NASDAQ. This is Bitcoin against gold. Let's take it a little bit further, guys, to really understand what one of the largest hedge fund managers in the world is actually saying to you guys, because, you know, he's trying to help you, basically, by not offering a Bitcoin spot ETF. This is Bitcoin against the money supply. This is Bitcoin against oil. This is Bitcoin against natural gas. And I could go on. Actually, I do believe I've got a Bitcoin divided by the housing ETFs, which I can't find now, and I don't want to spend the time looking for it. But, you know, Bitcoin has been nothing short of a success. Vanguard will have their own dog in this fight. They will eventually offer a Bitcoin spot ETF, in my opinion. But to say that, I understand the argument somewhat about not holding it because it doesn't offer you a derivative or something like that. But these guys also own gold. They offer gold ETFs, you know, and so on and so forth. So it's interesting. And to say Bitcoin doesn't belong in a portfolio, I think that's wrong. I think actually any portfolio manager, and who am I to question Vanguard's CEO? I mean, come on, you know. But from my understanding of portfolio management, certainly on, you know, when you're more broad with it, like I'm crypto specific, I still diversify within the crypto space into lots of different sectors, deep in, you know, AI, not really DeFi so much, not my biggest sort of field that I think is going to do amazing. Lots of different layer ones, you know, remittance market stuff, that sort of stuff. But if I was to invest more broadly, you'd have crypto, you'd have stocks, you'd have metals, you know, that would be what you're looking to do. And actually BlackRock kind of are in direct disagreement with them. We've already shown you the kind of hypocrisy with all of that. Let's talk a little bit about MicroStrategy, as we've already brought it up before we dive into the Bitcoin chart more specifically. This is MicroStrategy. Who is buying this? Look at the volume on MicroStrategy. This is the biggest volume they've ever seen, of course, highlighted by the brilliant Eric Balanchunas. Please go and give him a follow over on Twitter. And this is the MicroStrategy chart. So our target that we hadn't given in 2023 at the point of this break of this inverse head and shoulders, very compliant on volume, come back for a retest. This is kind of where cryptos are right now. And then we see upside continuation. You're on the right side of your EMA. Target made. Look at where you sold off. Look at where this wicked into. Perfect target touch. And then it's gone on higher. Who's buying a Bitcoin play in this volume at this time? We don't just derive our opinion on Bitcoin based on the Bitcoin chart. It's a big part of it, but we look at everything else. You know, if we look at another sort of stock, which is Marathon, this is going to get to what is currently a $19 stock, is going to get to, in our assessment, $112. You can make money on all of this. We're not endorsing any of this. Also, Coinbase very much progressing like we said it would. The smaller head and shoulders that we had from down here was this top here. We've removed that, and now we've got a bigger head and shoulders. But the volume on MicroStrategy, who's buying MicroStrategy like this at a point of all-time high? And you always break a key level, in this case, all-time highs, with momentum. And that's going to segue me back into Bitcoin beautifully, because you guys know the plan for Bitcoin. If it hadn't been followed in the manner that we had set out for it, then we'd be worried. We'd be wrong, in fact, like the bears. But it has, and you're just consolidating around all-time highs. This is a bull market. Don't bet on extended downside. The thing is with this could square up and correct itself very easily and go on and push higher. It's very common when you go into new all-time highs that you consolidate. And maybe as I've said that, I should show you some examples. Thinking about examples, I can show you some that we have in our stage 2s in the form of semiconductors. So you can see what happened when you broke into, you first had resistance. I'd want this for Bitcoin, but I don't think we're going to necessarily see it. And then once you'd taken it, you kind of consolidate. You always get consolidation around highs. There was a few, actually. I think Samsara was one. No. Nvidia will be one for sure. All-time highs, consolidation. So this is really the path that Bitcoin has ahead of it. Right now, it is really just consolidating around all-time highs, but it will push through that, I believe. And I think you've got a bit of a strong dollar that's kind of leaning on Bitcoin somewhat, but we have a broader thesis on the dollar that aligns with everything else that we're looking at. So we don't see any reason whatsoever to deviate from that. The last little thing for me perhaps to talk about is what Grayscale did yesterday. So we just filed Grayscale's Ethereum Trusts Amendment from 19B4 filing. This is an important step in our efforts to uplist ETH to the New York Stock Exchange. More from Craig Salm. And this, of course, is Craig Salm, who I'm unfamiliar with. Must be somebody that is a chief legal officer over at Grayscale. We just filed Grayscale's trust amendment. Investors want and deserve access to Ethereum in the form of a spot Ethereum ETF. And we believe the case is just as strong as it was for spot Bitcoin ETFs. I am telling you this is coming based not on what we're hearing from the news, because we're not news-driven traders, based on what we're seeing in the charts. This is cometh. This is going to break to the upside. This is all going to be on the ETF news. And we're also seeing a similar thing with ETH DOM. Don't believe in technical analysis. Watch all this play out. Guys, that's all I've got for you. Quick announcement. We did open a few more spaces. It's very limited in regards to what you can get on in the Patreon. We did have a couple of people who decided they want to leave, but now they can't get back in because, of course, it's already kind of sold out. So if there are spaces available, do go and check that out. Keep an eye on it. We will be opening up the Patreon in a kind of staged fashion, just so we can deal with the inflows of people that we get and we can make sure they're the right kind of people. But do go and check out the Patreon, link in the description. Guys, that's all I've got for you. I'm wishing you all a smashing Saturday and a wonderful weekend. Stick to the plan. Everything looks good. Let me know your thoughts on Vanguard's comments in the comment section. And on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks a lot for watching. See you all in the next one.